Welcome back, everyone. My name is Reed Blakemore, Director of Research and Programs at the Atlantic Council Global Energy Center. We're here with another episode of Live from COP28 here at the Global Decarbonization Accelerator, where we're spending time talking to the wide range of folks from industry, NGOs, civil society, and policy to understand kind of how the action is happening here these 2 weeks of COP28, and more importantly, how we can take that action forward. I'm joined now by John Stackhouse, Senior Vice President in the Office of the CEO at RBC. John, thanks for joining me.
Great to be with you.
You know, I think when we look at the totality of issues that we're trying to grapple with at this COP, there are any number of angles, I think, throughout this interview series that folks have been drawn to. We have a massive stock-taking exercise that's happening. We have a huge kind of initial effort from the oil and gas community to contribute to climate action. But we also have any number of niche issues related to carbon markets, a big pledge from the nuclear energy community as well. When you reflect on kind of what's going on here in your meetings and walking around the pavilions, what's really standing out to you on the agenda?
Well, this is the pragmatic COP. And it's interesting to see the road that's been taken from, let's say, Paris, which was the ambitious COP. Maybe some would see it as idealistic. Now we're deep into pragmatism. So getting stuff done and dealing with the world as it is, not just with the world as we want it to be and as it needs to be. That's an important adjustment for a lot of people here. And one of my favorite words from this COP is profitability. You don't hear that word enough in climate circles. Haven't heard it a lot at COPs, and I'm hearing it a lot this week. Profitability. And what does that mean? People are looking for profits, how to generate profits through climate action. And that's not driven by greed. It's driven by just the realities of economics, that profits draw in capital, and we're going to need lots and lots of capital, trillions of dollars of capital to get to net zero. So I think there's been an awakening here that we need a bit more of a profit mindset in what we do around climate. And we're seeing lots of that take place. The United States is a great example through IRA. That has not just been about putting government money into the market. It is driving that profit seeking in all sorts of sectors, from agriculture to hydrogen. And as people start to see returns, that's going to bring in more capital. So I'm excited to hear those sorts of conversations at this COP. People trying to be more pragmatic, deal with the world as it is, as well as keep an eye on what the world needs to be, but also embrace the profit motive as a driver of climate action.
I think you're absolutely right. You know, I tend to look at the arc of energy transition and climate action as something akin to a generational economic opportunity, where you not just see that profit mindset coming out of the private sector, but you also see so many countries in the global south, for example, eager to move down the value chain and seize those economic benefits for themselves as well, which is hugely inspiring in a way, right? Because it adds to this sense of inclusivity. One thing you mentioned North America, you mentioned the United States in particular. I'd be curious as to your thoughts on, where Canada sits in this, and where how Canada's, contributions, both as a major global leader in energy transition and climate action, but also as a frankly speaking, a major player in energy industry at large. You've spent a lot of time, I've been watching you on Twitter at the Canada Pavilion. How do you see the Canadian space evolving? What's Canada looking to do here?
Well, Canada was certainly a leader at Paris, and with a lot of what has ensued from that, whether it's powering past coal or carbon pricing or other policies that we've been among the true world leaders in. We're being challenged now to adjust to a very different world, a world that has more energy insecurity, has more food insecurity, a world that is divided, less united than it was at Paris. So how does Canada, as a resource-rich country, as a market that is integrated with the U.S. market, seize on these opportunities and maybe do some pivots? Very interesting to see the Canadian government here start to think about that. It's also incredibly important to see two leading provinces here, Saskatchewan and Alberta. Ontario and Quebec and other provinces are here in a significant way. But those are the resource leaders in many ways, particularly with fossil fuels in the country. And it's great to see them leaning into climate action and climate policy. But it also is challenging Canadians to think about energy security, particularly and as it relates to both what's gone on with the United States with IRA, but also disruptions in global markets that are having a big impact on Canada.
Absolutely. So one last question, because obviously, going around having brilliant discussions, learning a lot, meeting and embracing the inclusivity that's present here at this COP, that's well and good for these 2 weeks that we're here. But ultimately, we have to go back home and get stuff done if this is truly to be an action COP. I'm struck by, your first comment around pragmatism, right? And I think that's a useful way to frame this. How do we take that pragmatism forward and carry it into true action in the next year?
One word: simplicity. Keep it simple. Too often we allow climate policy, climate action, all policies probably, but certainly in climate, to become more complicated, usually for good reasons, but we don't appreciate that usually gums up and can outright stop a lot of climate action. We don't have time on our side. So when you don't have time on your side, basic management rule: keep it simple, stupid. So we need to bring that the KISS mentality to climate. I think that's one of the insights that we as Canadians are drawing from IRA. A lot of our policies tend to be a little more complicated, and we see a lot of people shifting to the US because IRA has simplified a lot of things. Maybe still complicated for some people, but it is relatively simple, and that is allowing capital to flow much more significantly than it is probably anywhere else in the world. So we need to study that, but maybe take a page from it, that there is a value in keeping it simple. Allows you to move faster, do more innovative things.
Pragmatism, simplicity, and economic opportunity. Those are three fantastic themes I think we could all take away from this COP. That's it for now on our end. We'll be doing more of these live from COP interviews over the next several days here at COP28 in Dubai. But until then, John, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.